Welcome to the Social Media Church podcast. I'm Nils Smith, and I'm joined by one of my longest time friends, and a fantastic worship leader, Justin Graves. Justin, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
So we are going to talk about online worship, which is something that I was a part of maybe 10 years ago, and I was a heretic back then 10 years ago for doing church on the internet. And now we're all doing church on the internet. Just to catch everyone up on who you are and your background, to share a little bit about your experience leading worship and what you do today.
Absolutely. Sure. So when I first started leading worship, I was a young pup, and we did a lot of youth worship, and that's where Nils and I met. He was a youth leader, youth minister, and we were a youth worship band. My wife and I, we had a band, and we would travel around the country leading worship at youth camps. And as we got older and less cool, and had started having a family, we have a daughter who's now 14, but we entered kind of a new phase, which was family worship and like big church worship, and started, leading with hymns, leading with contemporary worship songs, also doing some of our original worship songs. But we've been doing that, we for almost 20 years, we've been leading worship, my wife and I together. And I have been leading worship, essentially my whole life. So it's been fun to see the different trends, the different styles change, kind of the different, what kind of church wants what kind of music. And it's been fun and interesting to watch. So, yeah.
And I think, it's been interesting in this journey together because we did this before social media was a thing.
Absolutely.
And, and so things have changed a lot since we started in ministry together. And I think you and I both come from a traditional, Baptist background.
Right.
And I think you were where I was kind of cutting the edge on the technology side. You were on the music side of bringing an electric guitar into church and wearing earrings in church, and breaking all the rules, maybe taking your shoes off in church.
Absolutely, yes.
And then now today, so many are, as we talk about doing online worship and with that, what that even looks like or what that means. In this last 6 months, I think it's been the biggest tension that I've heard of. I understand how I can preach online and bring that element of how we do church. But I don't, we're just struggling with the music. We're struggling with production quality. We're struggling with how to really engage. It feels awkward in your home to sing along. Do you sing out? Do you just watch it? Do you sing along? Do you put the words on the screen? What do you do? And so as a worship leader, how do you approach leading people online?
I think that it's less about production and more about authenticity, which really is my take, leading worship in person or virtually. It's not about how good the show looks. It's about just connecting, showing your authenticity, showing your realness, and just saying, look, this may feel awkward. This may be a little strange, but we're in this together, and I'm going to sing some songs, and whether you sing out loud or you sing in your head or just close your eyes and listen to us sing, I feel like that's where virtual worship, I feel like that's the direction we should be heading, instead of trying to do a show of worship. Just, whether it's one guy and a guitar or a full, rock and roll praise band, either way, it can be very real and authentic and just, it feels different. It feels strange. And I understand, even as a worship leader, I don't necessarily tend, when I'm attending a service, I do a lot of internal singing. I don't sing a lot out loud. And so when we're doing virtual worship with my family here, I do the same thing. I sit and just kind of let it soak over me. I listen. And I feel like as worship leaders, that's what we should be trying to engage. Not necessarily, don't try to get people to sing along because because they're going to go, I'm not so sure about this.
Yeah.
But just give them an opportunity to worship through music, kind of, even if it's in the background, even if they're making breakfast or dinner or whatever it is, and they have the music on in the background, they can still be engaging and worshiping that way as well. So
let's walk through kind of the whole preparation to doing it and leading it and producing it. Preparation, when you prepare a worship set for an online experience, and you've done it from kids to youth to adult,
sure.
Worship experiences. How do you approach the worship set, the preparation? Do you approach it the same? Is it different? What's the approach?
I approach it the same. And I typically try to find out either what the message is or what the scripture is that is being used that week, and try to base the song set on that. I try to make a connection somehow, the music and the message. And sometimes, like even as a worship leader, in being full-time in a church, sometimes as the worship leader, you don't know what the message is going to be until Sunday morning. And so, because pastors are doing their thing, and sometimes they don't know what the message is until Sunday morning.
Right.
So if that's the case, then I try to put songs together thematically. I try to have some sense of, I'm gonna engage people. Start with something a little upbeat. Start with something to kind of break the ice and get people in a headspace of praise and worship. And then thematically, whether it's 3 songs or 8 songs, whatever it is, try to tie all the songs together, give some kind of ups and downs dynamically. Everything shouldn't be at 11 the entire time. And also everything shouldn't be at like 2 the entire time. You've got to have some celebratory songs and some focused worship, meditative songs as well. And so when I'm putting together a set list, that's what I'm thinking. Like, am I putting together a set list that's going to match the message, or even that is the antithesis of what the message is, to like show the dynamic, to show the contrast. Sometimes that's like I'll give you an example. We did an online service for a church a couple weeks ago, and they were using the scripture of when Jesus calmed the storm in the boat. He was asleep. The disciples were freaking out. And so they were talking about, seeing Jesus in the chaos around you. There's not a lot of songs about that. And this was a family service. So I was trying to engage adults and engage children. And so what I did is I thought, okay, if I'm going to find Jesus in the chaos, I have to be able to trust that Jesus is in control. And so I took my song set, and everything was about trusting Jesus, putting my trust in him, focusing on Jesus and trusting that he's going to guide me and keep me safe. And so it worked well, while, there's not a lot of family worship songs about chaos and Jesus in the storm, but there are a lot of songs about trusting Jesus, and you can tie those together very well. So
absolutely. One of the things I've seen here we go to Hillsong in New York, and typically in our physical gatherings we would have 4 to 5 songs before the message. Now they're doing 2 to 3 songs. Are you seeing that being the norm with online? Is that shorter is better? All of my experience I know is Hillsong, and so is that just what they're doing? Is that a norm? Is that what do you see
that
experience?
That I believe that from what I have seen, that is the norm. There are still some churches who are still trying to do like a bunch of songs, and I feel like that by about the 3rd song, because we're all in this kind of awkward we're not really sure what we're supposed to be doing kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. After about 3 songs, people are like, they disengage.
Mm-hmm.
And so keeping the worship set shorter is definitely, in my opinion, this is just me.
Yep.
In my opinion, it is better, and you can still take people on a journey. You can still
Yep.
have a celebratory song, and kind of that medium song, and then kind of a focus song. If you do a song set like 3 in a row, and
Yep.
some churches that I know of have, like, they'll do maybe 2 songs up front, 1 song in the middle, and then 1 song at the end. So you're still
Yep.
able to get 4 or 5 songs within a church service,
Yep.
but it's not all at the same time.
Yeah.
So keeping the virtual online worship sets shorter is
Yes.
definitely better.
And then, so let's talk about capture. There's several different ways that I see people doing it. One is they're literally just going on stage as if they're having church
Mm-hmm.
as usual. Some is they're just doing it through webcams, not in their
Right.
bedroom.
Yeah.
Some is they're going in like a studio, kind of making a
Right.
unique set.
Right.
And I don't know that there's a best way or right way, but what do you see, and how do you approach that? What do you think is maybe a best practice around the capture experience?
It would really be dependent on your audience.
Okay.
Because some people, I believe, like some people who are watching online church want to feel like they are in the church building. And
Yeah.
so having the worship band on set and the pastor comes out and speaks from the stage,
Yeah.
that's a lot of production.
Yeah.
It can still feel very natural.
Okay.
But some people enjoy that, and some people like just the guy in his living room with a guitar. I think that the mistake that a lot of people make doing kind of the home recording type of stuff is lighting.
Yeah.
Things aren't lit well, so you want to figure out how to light yourself the best so that you don't look like a dark figure in the shadows.
Yeah.
But also audio is so key to what we're doing, because if the audio is bad, if there's a lot of external noise, if you can't really hear what's being sung or said,
Yeah.
people aren't going to engage.
Right.
And I have found, we have just used our laptop, for some things, just on a
Yep.
Zoom call, leading worship,
Yeah.
which works fine. But we've also used, we set up our phone, attach a light, and attach a good microphone to it.
Okay.
Very simple setup. It doesn't have to be elaborate,
Yeah.
but something that just helps the audio, enhance. I have
Yeah.
even used my AirPods
Okay.
to lead worship, because I can play my guitar and sing, and my AirPods pick it up.
Interesting.
And and I've even asked, like, how does it sound? They're like, man, it sounds great. It sounds like you've got microphones on you.
Yeah.
So
And the AirPods pick up the guitar too.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
Is there for a church on a budget, is there a best USB microphone or like GarageBand and something, that you would recommend of here's kind of the go-to, or even mid-range budget?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we have, I don't have it. It's in the next room.
Yeah.
We have, I know I go to Amazon for everything.
Yeah.
We have a little Rode mic. It's about
Yep.
this big.
Yep.
And it has like the fuzzy thing on it that you can put
Yep.
on it. It's called the Dead Cat.
Yep.
And it's not very expensive, and it plugs right into it can plug into your computer.
Yeah.
It can plug into your phone. But it's just a little condenser mic that focuses the audio. That is a great budget friendly microphone. Yeah, you probably have one right there.
I was just looking. I think I've got one in my drawer. I don't see it right now, but
Yeah.
yes, I have one of those. The Rode.
The Rode, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's a great little microphone. You can get more elaborate. I think, Blue Microphones makes the Yeti, and that's a
I've got
USB
that
microphone.
in my,
Yep, that's exactly right. And that's a great microphone because it can pick up a lot of sound, but it's still very clean. The audio is real clean coming from that. So,
that's great.
And those are inexpensive options.
Yes.
And then of course you could go buy preamps and USB things and set up a bunch of microphones, which is great, but you don't need to go through all that expense or setup to get great audio for what we're doing. So
that's great. That's great. And so, and then let's audio, video, lighting. How much? And I think even there's that awkwardness as a worship leader. Do you look at the camera? Do you close your eyes? Do you how do you lead through a camera as a worship leader?
That's a very good question. I tend to not close my eyes much, whether I'm leading in front of people or online. I think that online, well, first I believe, again, my opinion, I think that if you sing an entire worship set with your eyes closed, you have disengaged yourself from the congregation. And if you are, if you are leading people in worship, you need to be aware of where they are and what's going on. And so having your eyes open, being able to, even in the middle of a song, nobody's engaging in this song, so maybe we need to end this one and go to the next one quick, or whatever it is. But especially online, I feel like I kind of do a little bit of both of looking at, right now I'm looking at you, but then when I'm singing, I think I tend to look more at the camera, just so that people can see that, they see me and I'm looking at them. It feels more personal if I'm looking at the camera than if I'm looking at myself or looking at you. And again, it does depend on your audience. It depends on who is there, because some people don't want to be stared at. And then some people want you to just go and do your own thing and they will join you in worship. But, my belief as a worship leader is engage the congregation and speak to them, and lead them. Don't just get up and sing some songs and hope they join in with you.
Perfect. Well, Justin, as we wrap up this conversation, any final thoughts you would share with church leaders around online worship?
I think just to kind of echo what we've said is, make it your own. Just because somebody else is doing a big production or if you go online, don't try to replicate other people because you're not them. Like Nils goes to Hillsong. Nobody else is Hillsong. So let them be Hillsong and you be you. You lead worship the way that you lead worship. Don't try to emulate or become somebody else. And I think that's the biggest thing, whether it's online worship or in-person worship. Figure out what works best for you. Get a good mic, get some good lighting, and really just have fun with it. Try out different things. I know for us, it's like, we're going to try this week, and wow, that didn't really work. So we're not going to do that.
Yes.
But this really did work. So maybe we can, try to figure out how to do that again. So
So good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Justin, thanks for jumping on this. If you want to check out Justin's website, justingravesband.com, and I want to give this plug because this is where this conversation came from, is Justin and I were just catching up today, and I said, hey, let's do a podcast. Justin was sharing with me that he is leading worship for several churches, not where he lives. He was living in Southern California at the beginning of this pandemic. He's in San Antonio now. But if you need a worship leader,
Yeah.
Justin can lead worship for your church wherever you are. And I think that's one of the exciting things about this moment and in this season, is that you can have anybody preaching or anybody leading worship from anywhere to your congregation that can be anywhere. And so tap into the resource that is Justin, or if you just want to reach out to Justin, I know he would love to talk to you, talk to your church, and help you in any way that he can. So go to socialmedia.church. I'll have a link to his website, to his social media channels, and connect with him there. Thanks so much for listening. We will talk to you again on the next episode.
Awesome. Thanks.